Well,
That wasn't, I mean...
a war is a war, but it's not
courageous. And to burn the oil wells as you left, was that courageous?
But it's not courageous and honorable to an army to kill and attack soldiers when they are withdrawing.
Well, it's less courageous to do what happened to the people of Kuwait when they were invaded.
What happened to the people of Kuwait? They are better off than you.
They what?
They are better off than you.
Because?
Because nothing...
Because nothing happened at all.
The man who is writing this bill. Saddam is the leader of Iraq. It's up to the people of Iraq to decide who their leader should be. It's not up to the State Department or the White House or the Pentagon to decide on that. We have been seeing and reading this nonsense you see for 6 or 7 years, and President Saddam Hussein is in his place. He's supported by his people, trusted by his people, and he will remain until God decides and the people of Iraq decide, not the American editors, not the American government. Here in the United States.
Against?
The establishment here in the United States, but the establishment in the United States, Charlie, does not decide the fate of Iraq, does not choose the leader of Iraq. Saddam Hussein was not brought by the American forces to the leadership of Iraq. He came to the leadership of Iraq by his own means and ways, with the support of the Iraqi people, with the support of the Iraqi army, and nobody is going to change that because Mr. So-and-so in the United States doesn't like Saddam Hussein. We might not like this or that leader in your country, but doesn't mean that we decide whom you should choose for your president, for your Secretary of State. This is none of our business. I believe in him. He is my friend. He's my colleague. We have been working together for more than a quarter century for the benefit of our nation. I do support him. I do respect him. I do trust him. And I do love him, you see, as a friend. We are in very good terms on the personal basis. Saddam Hussein serves faithfully and devotedly the interest of Iraq. That's why you don't like him. You would like to have a proxy, you see, in Iraq who would say yes
to the United States.
Pick an agent.
Yeah, I think that you could argue eliminate it so we can sell our oil and get on with...
Just be fair. Just be fair. Don't be hegemonic. Don't falsify the truth, the facts. Be fair. Be fair that Iraq has done this. It has implemented what requirements were made in the Security Council resolutions. And don't block lifting the sanctions. If the U.S. government decides not to interfere in the Security Council business against Iraq, the sanctions will be lifted within weeks.
I
don't know what they will say, you see, and what terms they are going to use. But I will say to them, and I am saying that in public, and I am responsible for my statement, we do not have any prohibited weapons. They have
and we have no desire to acquire them by any means.
Yes.
We don't want to be a nuclear power. We don't want to have either germ warfare abilities that we can use as a threat.
We have been destroyed, and we do not intend to continue their production because we would like the sanctions to be lifted. And we know that this is a requirement for lifting the sanctions, and we have done all these requirements.
As you know, and I want to leave sanctions for a second because we had some other important things to talk about in terms of the future. As you know, what they would say, if you want to participate in the community of nations, just abide by the laws of the international community. Just do what was agreed to do. And they say you didn't, and therefore the battle is there.
We did.
You say we have, they say you haven't. They say here's our evidence, and you say
that's why, because
you say it's all the Americans' fault.
They want to keep the sanctions because keeping the sanctions on Iraq is a profitable business for the United States.
It's profit motive that...
Yes, yes. Iraq has been excluded from the oil market, and the share of Iraq is being sold by others, and those who are selling our share in the oil market are making contracts with the Americans.
So now you're saying American foreign policy is dictated by its economic interest with respect to oil income.
That's simple. Everybody knows that. That's a very well-known fact. We will withstand it simply because this is the natural reaction when any nation is being attacked. We will steadfastly protect our country, defend it against aggression, and do what we can do.
Did we learn any lessons from the Gulf War?
Who?
You.
Did you?
Your government.
Well, the lesson...
What did your government learn from that war?
Well, we were attacked by a coalition of 30 nations.
Attacked?
Attacked.
That wasn't an act of defense there? That was an act of, in the Gulf War?
Do you think, well, because of Kuwait?
Yes.
Why Mosul was attacked? Why Erbil was attacked? Why the electricity was attacked? Why monasteries were attacked? Why bridges were attacked?
Who initiated that conflict?
The United States.
In what way?
By attacking Iraq.
Attacking Iraq?
Yes.
The Gulf War was initiated by the United States.
Yes.
When you say that, doesn't
because
that...
we wanted to have a political solution
to
within the Arab
islands
world,
that you thought belonged
within
to you
the
and
Arab
border-
world. Many heads of state and government in the Arab world wanted to find a political solution to the problem. It was Mr. Bush who denied that, who prevented that, and who insisted on the logic of the war.
Mr. Bush is responsible for the Gulf War.
Yes.
You know, when you say that, with all...
That's the truth. I insist on that.
The future, what's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
Ask that question, make that question to the American administration. Are they going to repeat the aggression against Iraq? If they are going to do that, that will complicate the situation badly. If they don't, we could find a diplomatic, political solution to this problem.
This question. If in fact you can food in, yes?
UN agencies are saying that. Okay. All honest men who visit Iraq and see the...
What UN agency has said it is genocide to impose sanctions
implicitly,
against...
if you read the reports of UNICEF or the World Food Program, etc., they are all exposing the ordeal of the Iraqi people, the death of children, the death of vulnerable groups, because they don't have enough food, they don't have enough medicine because of the sanctions. Iraq was a very prosperous nation.
Until they didn't of the sanctions?
If we are to speak about accountability, let's speak about all the parties involved in that matter since the early 1990. Before the events of the 2nd of August, sanctions started to be imposed unilaterally by the United States on Iraq. If it enters illegally into our airspace.
But how do you define illegally? If they give you notice and they're on a UN flight, is that illegal?
Would you accept that if a Cuban spying plane would give you a notice that it will come into the American airspace, and you will tolerate that? Would you tolerate that?
But
why should Iraq tolerate that the Americans decide?
Because they're on a mission for the United Nations, not a mission for the United States.
That's a big lie. That's a big lie.
Why is that a lie?
I exposed it in front of the non-aligned caucus. I showed them where the U-2 flies in Iraq. It goes to Erbil. Does Mr. Butler have any interest in Erbil? It flows over Baghdad a couple of days before they attacked Baghdad in 1993 and in June 1993. It's not working for the United Nations. It's a spying plane. It updates information for the Pentagon and sends one or two bits and pieces of the pictures it takes for the factories in Iraq to Mr. Butler just to tell him that it's serving his own purpose. I have been asking the Special Commission to use a neutral plane. I would accept a French one. I would accept a German one. I would accept an Italian one. I would accept a Russian one. But I cannot accept an American one because they have a special agenda against Iraq.
The American flag of flying a mission for the United Nations, as I say.
I don't believe it, simply because the United States has a special agenda against Iraq. I would like the United Nations to use a plane which belongs to a country which doesn't have a special agenda against Iraq.
They don't have U-2s.
Many planes could do the same job. The F-1, the Mirage F-1, the French could do the same job. Taking pictures, that will be a grave mistake on the
But what's
side.
the likelihood? Is it 50-50?
I don't know. Because
Are you optimistic or pessimistic?
I'm neither optimistic nor pessimistic because I am in a situation that I might be attacked by an aggression. I have to defend myself. I have to take precautions. It's up to them to decide, and if they do decide to wage a war against Iraq, they will not win. they will lose.
They won the last one.
They didn't. They didn't. They didn't. They made a lot of destruction. They killed a lot of people, but they didn't win the war. Winning or losing wars, Mr. Rose, is a very controversial issue. Don't just look at the immediate results of a military conflict. Look at the results in the long run.
What do you think the results in the long run are?
The Americans lost a lot. They lost their pretension that they are conducting a moral policy in the world. They lost a lot in the Middle East because people think of the Americans are aggressors, are cruel.
Why then?
The prestige in terms of power, I'm not saying that the United States has lost its prestige in terms of power. I'm speaking about values and morals and the long run of a policy which is conducted and which leads to no positive ends. Yeah. The situation, I just...
You really believe this?
Yes, I do.
You really?
Those who supported the Americans, the United States, in the Gulf War, are they better off now than they were in the 90s? Are they more secure? Are they better off economically? Are they stronger than they were in 1990? The answer is simple, no. So those who joined the United States in its campaign against Iraq actually lost. In terms of their own security, in terms of their own economy.
Give me one example of that.
To explain my case, answer questions, because there has been a lot of disinformation spread in this country, in the American media, about Iraq, about the realities on site. So I am doing my best to explain. Whether you take it or not, it's up to your judgment. I think this by itself is part of my mission.
On that, I thank you for coming. Thank you very much. The Deputy Prime Minister of Iraq, Tarik Aziz.